7-year-old Emma was playing alone in her backyard when she looked up and saw a teenager standing by the fence. He was smiling at her, wearing jeans and a hoodie, looking completely normal, except for one detail that made Emma's mother drop the laundry basket when her daughter described it later. The teenager was glowing. Not like a light bulb, Emma explained, but like he had sunshine inside him. He spoke 7 words to her, pointed toward the house, and then vanished while Emma was still looking directly at him. What that teenager told Emma saved her entire family. The words he spoke led to a discovery that doctors say came exactly in time. The details of this encounter have been documented by a parish priest, confirmed by medical records, and witnessed in its aftermath by an entire neighborhood. This isn't a dream. This isn't a story from centuries ago. This happened 6 weeks ago in broad daylight to a child who had never heard of CarloAcutis until the moment he appeared to her. Subscribe immediately and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear is being investigated right now by church authorities. The family has given permission to share their story publicly because they want the world to know what CarloAcutis did for them and what he might be doing for other families who are facing similar hidden crises. Emma Rodriguez lives with her parents and older brother in a small town in New Mexico. She's a typical 7-year-old who loves her stuffed animals, watches cartoons, and plays elaborate imagination games by herself in the backyard. Her family is Catholic, but not intensely religious. They attend Mass most Sundays and pray before meals, but faith isn't the center of their household. 6 weeks ago, on a Tuesday afternoon, Emma was in the backyard creating what she called a fairy village using sticks, leaves, and stones. Her mother, Maria, was inside folding laundry near the kitchen window where she could periodically check on Emma. The day was completely ordinary, sunny, warm, peaceful. Nothing suggested that something extraordinary was about to happen. Emma was arranging stones in a circle when she felt someone watching her. She looked up and saw a teenage boy standing near the back fence, about 15 feet away. Her first reaction was curiosity, not fear. The boy looked friendly. He was smiling at her in a way that made her feel safe. He appeared to be maybe 15 or 16 years old, wearing jeans and a dark hoodie despite the warm weather. But there was something unusual about him that Emma noticed immediately. He seemed to be glowing softly, like he had light coming from inside him. Not bright enough to hurt her eyes, but definitely noticeable. Emma stared at this effect, fascinated rather than frightened. She'd never seen anything like it before. Drop a comment below if you've ever seen something you couldn't explain, especially involving light or unusual appearances. These experiences happen more frequently than people discuss openly. The teenager spoke first. His voice was gentle and clear, and Emma remembers every word exactly. "Emma, go get your mama. Tell her to check on your daddy. Right now." Emma stood up, processing this. How did this teenager know her name? And why should her mama check on her daddy? Her father was at work. He'd left that morning like always. But something about the way the teenager spoke made it seem urgent and important. "Why?" Emma asked. Because 7-year-olds are naturally curious and not yet trained to be afraid of direct questions. The teenager's expression became more serious but still kind. "Because he needs help. Go now. Run inside and tell her." Emma glanced toward the house, then looked back at the teenager to ask another question. He was gone. Not walking away, not hiding behind the fence, simply not there anymore. Emma blinked, looked around the yard, saw no one. The teenager had vanished while she was looking away for less than 2 seconds. Emma did what the teenager told her to do. She ran inside and found her mother in the laundry room. "Mama, there was a boy in the backyard, and he told me to tell you to check on Daddy right now." Maria's immediate concern was that a stranger had been in their yard talking to her daughter. "What boy? Where is he?" She moved quickly to the window to look outside. The backyard was empty. "Emma, there's no one out there." "He disappeared, Mama, but he said to check on Daddy right now. He said Daddy needs help." Maria felt a chill despite the warm day. Emma wasn't prone to making up stories, and there was something in her daughter's voice, an urgency that seemed beyond what a 7-year-old would normally express. Maria pulled out her phone and called her husband, Rafael, at work. The phone rang 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Raphael always answered by the 3rd ring. Maria's heart started beating faster. She called again. No answer. She was about to call a 3rd time when her phone rang. It was Raphael's co-worker, Antonio. "Maria, don't panic, but Raphael collapsed at work. We've called an ambulance. They're taking him to St. Joseph's Hospital. You should meet us there." If this story is making your heart race and you're starting to understand why this appearance matters so much, hit that like button and share this video. What happened next proves that Carlo's intervention came at exactly the right moment. Maria grabbed her keys, called a neighbor to watch Emma and her brother, and drove to the hospital. She arrived to find Raphael in the emergency room, conscious but in pain. The doctors were running tests. Within an hour, they had results that made Maria's blood run cold. Raphael had a massive blood clot forming near his heart. If it had broken loose and traveled to his lungs or brain, it would have killed him within minutes. The only reason they caught it in time was because Raphael had collapsed at work, prompting immediate medical attention. The doctor said that if he'd been anywhere alone, driving, at home sleeping, anywhere without immediate help, he likely would have died. But here's the critical detail. Raphael had been feeling slightly off that morning, but had ignored it. No severe pain, just a vague discomfort he attributed to stress or poor sleep. He'd planned to work through the day, go home that evening, and rest. If he'd followed that plan, the doctors said, he almost certainly would have died during the night when the clot broke loose and no one was there to help him. Something made Raphael's body shut down at work, where people could immediately respond. Something prompted Emma to run inside with an urgent message that made Maria call right at the moment when Raphael's co-worker was trying to reach her. The timing was too precise to be random chance. When Maria returned home that evening, Raphael was stable and being monitored in ICU. She sat down with Emma and asked her to describe the teenager she'd seen. Emma gave a detailed description. Teenage boy, maybe 15 or 16, dark hair, friendly smile, jeans and hoodie, and that strange glow that made him look like he had light inside him. Maria pulled up Google on her phone and searched teenage saints. She scrolled through images while Emma watched. When Maria reached a photo of CarloAcutis, Emma gasped and pointed at the screen. "That's him, that's the boy who was in our backyard." Maria stared at the image, then at her daughter, then back at the image. CarloAcutis, a 15-year-old Italian teenager who died in 2006 and was canonized as a saint in 2024. A boy who loved computers, wore casual clothes, and had a smile exactly like the one in the photo Emma was pointing at. Maria started reading about CarloAcutis. The more she read, the more she felt that something profound had happened in their backyard. This wasn't random. This wasn't Emma's imagination. A saint had appeared to her daughter with a message that saved her husband's life. The next day, Maria contacted their parish priest, Father David. She told him everything: Emma's description of the teenager, the urgent message about checking on Raphael, the collapsed at work, the blood clot diagnosis, the doctor's statement that timing saved his life, and Emma's identification of CarloAcutis from the photo. Father David listened carefully, asked detailed questions, and requested permission to interview Emma separately. He's trained in distinguishing between children's imagination and genuine experiences. He knows how to ask questions that reveal inconsistencies if a story is fabricated. Share this video with parents, grandparents, teachers, anyone who works with children. They need to know that saints appear to children in our modern world, and that taking children's spiritual experiences seriously can literally save lives. Father David interviewed Emma 2 days later in his office with her mother present. He asked her to draw the teenager she'd seen. Emma drew a simple picture, stick figure with jeans and a hoodie, surrounded by small rays indicating light. He asked her to describe exactly what the teenager said. She repeated the same 7 words. "Go get your mama. Tell her to check on your daddy." He asked if the teenager had said anything about religion, about Jesus, about prayer. Emma shook her head. No religious message at all, just the urgent instruction to get her mother and check on her father. Father David asked if Emma had been scared. She said no, the teenager seemed nice and she felt safe. Father David showed Emma several pictures of teenage boys, mixing random images with pictures of saints. Emma immediately and confidently pointed to CarloAcutis. "That's him. That's who I saw." She showed no hesitation, no uncertainty. Father David's assessment, which he documented in writing, concluded that Emma's account was credible. Her description was consistent across multiple tellings. She showed no signs of fabrication or coaching. Her emotional response was appropriate. She seemed matter-of-fact about what she'd experienced rather than dramatic or attention-seeking. And most significantly, the practical outcome, Raphael's life being saved, provided concrete evidence that something real had occurred. Father David has forwarded his documentation to diocesan officials. The process of investigating potential miraculous events is thorough and skeptical. Church authorities will examine medical records confirming Raphael's condition and the timing of the diagnosis. They'll interview multiple witnesses. They'll assess whether natural explanations could account for Emma's knowledge and the timing of events. But regardless of official church investigation, the Rodriguez family knows what happened. A saint appeared to their 7-year-old daughter with a message that saved their father's life. That's not speculation. That's documented fact confirmed by medical records and multiple witnesses. Raphael recovered fully. The blood clot was dissolved with medication, and he was released from the hospital after 5 days. He's back at work, back to normal life, but profoundly changed by what happened. He told Father David during his own interview, "I was not a deeply religious man. I went to church because my wife wanted to. I prayed because it was expected. But CarloAcutis appeared to my daughter to save my life. That changes everything. How can I not take faith seriously after heaven intervened to keep me alive?" The entire Rodriguez family has deepened their faith since the incident. They attend Mass, not just most Sundays, but every Sunday. They've started praying together as a family each evening. They've learned more about CarloAcutis and have started asking for his intercession regularly. Raphael keeps a prayer card of Carlo in his wallet. Maria has one on her kitchen wall. Emma has a small statue of Carlo on her dresser. But the impact extends beyond their immediate family. Maria shared the story with neighbors and friends. Within weeks, multiple families in their community had started praying to CarloAcutis. Prayer groups formed specifically to ask for his intercession. Parents started teaching their children about this teenage saint who apparently watches over families and intervenes when they're in danger. Comment below and tell us if you pray to CarloAcutis regularly or if this story is introducing you to him for the first time. Your witness matters and encourages others to develop devotion to this powerful young saint. One neighbor, hearing Emma's story, started praying to Carlo about her own husband's health. Her husband had been refusing to see a doctor despite ongoing symptoms. After praying a novena to Carlo, her husband suddenly agreed to make an appointment. The doctor discovered early-stage cancer that's now being treated successfully. The neighbor believes Carlo's intercession changed her husband's mind about seeking medical help. Another family in the neighborhood had a teenager struggling with depression. The parents, after hearing about Emma's experience, started praying to Carlo for their son. Within 2 weeks, their son opened up about his struggles and agreed to start counseling. The parents attribute this breakthrough to Carlo's intercession. The ripple effects of one appearance in one backyard continue to spread. Emma's encounter with Carlo wasn't just about saving Raphael's life. It was about transforming an entire community's relationship with faith, with saints, and with the reality that heaven actively engages with ordinary families facing everyday crises. Emma herself has become something of a local celebrity, though her parents are careful to protect her from too much attention. She's been invited to share her story at the parish's children's mass. She told the other kids simply, "A saint came to my backyard and told me to help my daddy. If you need help, you can ask saints and they'll help you too. They're not scary, they're nice." That childlike simplicity captures something profound. Saints aren't distant, intimidating figures from history. They're friends in heaven who care about our struggles and respond to our needs. CarloAcutis particularly seems to specialize in appearing to children and helping families, perhaps because he was so close to his own family during his life and understood the importance of those relationships. Medical professionals who've reviewed Raphael's case confirm that the timing of his collapse and diagnosis was critical. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the cardiologist who treated Raphael, told the family, "If you'd come in even 6 hours later, the outcome would likely have been fatal. Blood clots of this size and location are extremely dangerous. The fact that it was caught when it was borders on miraculous." When Maria told Dr. Mitchell about Emma's vision and the message that prompted her urgent phone call, the doctor paused and said, "I'm a woman of science, but I'm also a woman of faith. I've seen too many cases where timing defies statistical probability to dismiss the possibility of divine intervention. Something prompted you to call your husband at exactly the right moment. Whether you call that intuition, coincidence, or saintly intercession, I'm grateful it happened." Father David's written report includes a timeline that shows the remarkable precision of events. Emma saw Carlo at approximately 2:47 p.m. based on timestamps of Maria's phone calls. Raphael collapsed at work at approximately 2:52 p.m. Maria called Raphael the first time at 2:49 p.m. He didn't answer because he was already feeling severely unwell. Antonio, his co-worker, called Maria at 2:54 p.m. to inform her about the ambulance. The 5-minute window between Emma's vision and Raphael's collapse suggests that Carlo appeared to Emma at the exact moment when Raphael's condition was becoming critical. Not hours earlier, not hours later, precisely when intervention could make the difference between life and death. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications for more documented accounts of CarloAcutis' intercession. These stories are emerging with increasing frequency, and we're committed to sharing them with proper verification and respect. Emma's experience raises important questions about how saints interact with our world. Why would Carlo appear to a 7-year-old rather than appearing directly to Raphael or Maria? Perhaps because children are more likely to accept supernatural experiences without overthinking or rationalizing them away. Emma saw a glowing teenager and simply accepted what she saw. An adult might have dismissed it as a trick of light or imagination. Why would Carlo deliver such a simple, practical message rather than something theological or mystical? Perhaps because the situation required action, not contemplation. Raphael needed immediate medical help. There was no time for elaborate spiritual messages. The urgency of the moment called for direct, actionable instruction. Why would a teenage saint from Italy care about a family in New Mexico he'd never met? Because saints in heaven see with God's perspective. They're not limited by geography, time, or personal acquaintance. They respond to needs and prayers regardless of where those needs exist. Carlo's mission in heaven apparently includes watching over families and protecting them from dangers they don't even see coming. The Rodriguez family has established a new tradition. Every Tuesday afternoon at approximately 2:45 p.m., the time when Carlo appeared to Emma, they gather in the backyard for a brief prayer of thanksgiving. They thank God for Raphael's life. They thank Carlo for his intervention. They ask for continued protection for their family and all families. Emma leads these prayers in her own words. "Thank you, Carlo, for coming to our backyard and helping my daddy. Thank you for telling me what to do. Please keep watching our family and help us when we need it. And please help other kids' families too. Amen." Other neighborhood families have joined this Tuesday afternoon prayer tradition. What started as a private family devotion has become a small community gathering where 10 to 15 families meet in the Rodriguez backyard each week to pray together and thank Carlo for his intercession. Maria told Father David recently, "Our backyard used to be just a place where Emma played. Now it feels sacred. Something holy happened there. A saint stood in that exact spot and spoke words that saved my husband's life. How can we ever see that space the same way again?" The medical bills from Raphael's hospital stay were substantial. The family worried about how they'd pay them. But something unexpected happened. Members of their parish and community, hearing about the miracle and wanting to help, organized fundraisers. Within 3 weeks, the entire bill was covered by donations. People wanted to be part of the story, to participate in the blessing that had come to the Rodriguez family. Raphael keeps a journal documenting everything since the day he collapsed. He writes about his physical recovery, his spiritual transformation, and his gratitude for the extra time he's been given with his family. He shared portions of this journal with Father David, and given permission for it to be used in the investigation. One entry reads, "I should be dead. Medical science says I should be dead. But a 15-year-old saint appeared to my 7-year-old daughter and changed everything. My daughter, who barely knows what death means, was used by heaven to save my life. How do I live worthy of that gift? How do I make sure that the extra years I've been given matter?" That question drives Raphael's life differently than before. He volunteers at the parish now, helping with maintenance and serving at community meals. He spends more intentional time with his children, recognizing that he almost lost the chance to see them grow up. He talks openly about his faith with co-workers, something he never did before. His entire approach to life shifted from taking it for granted to treating it as the gift it is. Emma, for her part, continues being a normal 7-year-old. She plays in the backyard, she watches cartoons, she argues with her brother over toys. The vision hasn't made her weird or overly spiritual, but she does talk about Carlo as if he's a real person she knows, because to her he is. She saw him. He spoke to her. He helped her family. That's as real to her as any other relationship in her life. The investigation into Emma's vision continues. Church officials are methodical and thorough. They're examining every detail, ruling out natural explanations, assessing the credibility of witnesses. This process could take months or years before any official determination is made about whether Emma's experience qualifies as a miraculous apparition. But the Rodriguez family isn't waiting for official confirmation to live changed lives. They know what happened. They know who appeared. They know what that appearance accomplished. Official church recognition would be meaningful, but it wouldn't make the experience more real or more transformative than it already is. St. CarloAcutis, guardian of families, pray for every household facing hidden dangers they cannot see. Intercede for parents who are unwell but don't realize the severity of their condition. Watch over children and give them words to speak when their families need intervention. Help us pay attention to urgent messages, whoever delivers them. Give doctors wisdom to recognize critical conditions in time to treat them. And when it serves God's purpose, appear to those who need visible reminder that heaven is watching, caring, and ready to help. Amen.